report on the news that travellers arriving in the UK from dozens of countries are no longer required to quarantine for 2 weeks. Joining us now is Tracy Bedwell, Managing Director of Sales Training International, which in normal times provides face-to-face training to companies in the Middle East, China and the USA. Tracy, how dependent are you on being able to get to your clients to deliver that training?
Very dependent, yeah, really dependent. Before the crisis hit, 100% of our business was face-to-face. We've managed to be able to move a small proportion of it online, but generally what we do, because we go and speak at conferences, we go in-house and help them sort out problems. I'd still say 80% of our work, even now moving forward, is going to have to be face-to-face.
Diversifying your business so you're not reliant upon one country would normally be a sensible business model, but how affected have you been?
We've been completely affected. In all of the previous issues that's happened in the world, because we've been in business now for 20 years, not one of them have really affected us, because we work quite extensively in the Middle East, but we work all the way across the Middle East. We work, as you said, in the USA, China, here in the UK, in Europe, in lots of different sectors. So if there's an issue in the banking sector or the finance sector, that hasn't really hit us too hard. We have lots of other sectors to go to. But on this, pretty much, we've been hit across the board, because it's obviously hit every country and it's also hit every single sector.
With the lifting of these travel restrictions for so many countries now, how will that help you get started again?
It doesn't really help my business at all, because they've lifted the travel restrictions in a lot of the holiday destinations, a lot of the European holiday destinations. But in terms of business travel, which is actually a huge industry, I looked online before, and £9 billion worth of money goes into long-haul flights from the UK each year, and £5 billion of that is on business travel. But generally, business travel is long-haul in places like America, China, the Middle East, etc. And they haven't lifted any of the bans or any of the sort of restrictions on those countries.
How much support have you and people who work with you been able to get from the government during this period?
We haven't had any support whatsoever. So we haven't had any of the grants from the government or the local council, because we're a limited company and I'm a director. I haven't had any support. I haven't even been able to use the furlough scheme, which should have been open to me, because we file our PAYE annually. So we pay monthly, but we just do the paperwork once a year after the 19th of March. So we've also been exempt on that. So we've had a great big fat zero. So we were really relying on this being able for the world to open up again to help us to sort of get going again.
So you've got to sort of eke things out as long as necessary, however long that is. But what are your hopes for your business in the slightly longer term?
In the longer term, I am really hoping that we can go back to flying to places like the Middle East and America and China with ease. I mean, we're quite happy if we have to pay for testings when we go into those countries. Things like that don't really bother me. The issues we've got is if we have to isolate when we get back for 2 weeks or isolate when we get there for 2 weeks, it doesn't help. And of course, my biggest hope is that the government will still listen to us and help all of those 3 million people plus who've been excluded from their help, and maybe give us a little support to help us, as you say, eke it out until we can start to move around the world again freely.
Tracy Bedwell from Sales Training International, thank you so much and the best of luck.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thanks.